सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om. On behalf of the Chinmaya Setukari wing of Chinmaya Mission Mumbai, I welcome all of you to this session of Ancient Wisdom in Modern Parenting by Dr. Sunita Shankar. For those of you who are new to Chinmaya Mission, I'll just give a small brief introduction of Chinmaya Mission. Chinmaya Mission was established in the year 1953 by devotees of the world-renowned Vedanta teacher Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. Guided by his vision, devotees all around the world started a spiritual renaissance movement that now encompasses a wide range of spiritual and charitable activities, ennobling the lives of thousands in India and across its borders. Chinmaya Mission is actively working in the upliftment of the rural population in Himachal Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Orissa, Andhra Pradesh. We have over 100 schools, a hospital, and a university, Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth. Chinmaya Mission is presently headed by His Holiness Swami Swarupananji, and under his guidance, the mission has over 300 centers worldwide. For more details on our activities and classes, do visit our website chinmayamission.com and chinmayamissionmumbai.com. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Dr. Sunita Shankar. Dr. Sunita has done her PhD in clinical psychology. She has around 25 years of experience working with people who have mental health problems. She has worked in the psychiatry department of Chinmaya Hospital, National University Hospital, Singapore, and the Indian Navy. Now, in private practice, she is also a visiting faculty at Nair Hospital. She has been associated with the Chinmaya Mission since childhood and derives her strength through the teachings of Vedanta. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunita, for being here with us today. Once again, I request everyone to remain on mute, and we will have a question and answer session at the end where you can put your questions on the chat. Over to you, Dr. Sunita.
Thank you so much, Nilima. Let me start at the outset by asking, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll start off by first thanking the organizers for giving me the opportunity to talk, because whenever we have to talk, there's also a lot of planning that goes into it, and planning means we have to study. So an opportunity to give a talk means an opportunity to study, and because of the organizers, I got to know a lot about ancient parenting methods. So thank you so much for that. When we talk about parenting, the first thing that comes to mind is, if you're just pushed into the deep sea without being taught how to swim, I guess that's exactly what happens. No matter how many classes or courses or program one attends, one is never prepared for what comes once the child is born. And unfortunately, there are no manuals for parenting, and there is no one way to parent all children. Hence, there is this eternal confusion of how to parent. Plus, today parenting is fourfold more difficult because of so many mental health issues and complications with the social media, etc. going on. Therefore, it's even more scary for parents. So in this atmosphere where there is so much of fear, so many options available, I guess parenting is a topic that most people are eager to hear about and keep attending again and again, because this is the need of the hour. Parents are grappling to do justice, and they're ready to do whatever it takes to ensure that their children are able to live happy lives in the future. So with that in mind, we will start this talk. Now, this is about ancient parenting in modern times. When we read about the ancient methods of living, the scriptures, we see that they did a lot of things right. And today, a lot of research that is being done comes to the same conclusion that our ancient ancestors came to eons ago, maybe thousands and thousands of years ago. So when I was reading up to find out about what are the parenting methods used in the ancient times and the Vedic times, I realized that there is no one place or one book which enumerates all of this. Parenting methods are scattered all over our texts, all over our scriptures. And one has to read almost everything to know little of what is given everywhere. So I will do as much as justice as I can with my limited knowledge and limited resources, because most of us know how vast our scriptures are. I was going through one particular research paper. There are a few people who have done research on ancient parenting methods. So there are a couple of research papers. Specifically one research paper. If anybody is interested, I can pass that on. Over there, one thing that, and of course, it also are other texts that I read. In ancient India during the Vedic period, parenting was very proactively practiced. It's not like you decide to have a child and then along the way you learn as it comes. No, the method of parenting, how they're going to practice parenting, all of that was decided way before they even became parents, before they even decided to become parents. So when you read these texts, you realize that there was a lot of proactive practice involved where parents took charge of the child's development, which is, if today's Western science, it's very different. In Asia, you see all over Asia that parents are much more involved in their child's life, and they're much more involved in decision-making, major decision-making milestones in their child's life. You see parents getting actively involved. That's a very ancient practice. That's also an Asian practice, very different and contrasting from the Western practices. And we see that throughout the Vedic times. For example, there are these samskaras. Okay, let me take one step back and say something more. It's also noticed that one of the most important goals of parenting in those days was to ensure that the child is a well-developed citizen of the nation. This was a very important goal of parenting. And a lot of things that they do or that they did at that time was towards this goal. How can we ensure that our child is a well-developed citizen who contributes to national development, to society development? And obviously, if that is the goal, then the child has to have a well-rounded personality in everything. Not only psychological development, the child also had to have social skills. The child also had to have a profession, because if you want to be a part of nation building, you have to be a part of the economics of the nation. So it was a well-rounded personality that came up because of this one goal. Now, how did they practice it? We see that, right, they had samskaras, that these are religious practices that are conducted to mark different milestones of life. Those who want to know more about samskaras, you can look into our ancient scriptures, or you can go to Google and check up what they are. And you will see that I think there are around 16 samskaras in a person's life, like Upanayanam, wedding, marriage, and all these. There are different samskaras that are there. And these religious practices, they mark milestones. They mark the physiological as well as the psychological and social developmental milestones in a person's life. And I think the reason why they made such a, in today's word, they made a big deal out of these samskaras, because this was to tell the child that you have reached a milestone, and here on, these are your special duties. So the child was all the time made to be aware that with every milestone, you have a duty. And ours was a very duty-oriented society, because even today, if you see, if everybody performs their duty well, everybody gets their right. So because my right depends on your duty. So it was with every milestone, they were told, now this is what you're supposed to do. So if we look at it from a broad perspective, we see that everything was proactively approached. Nothing happened just like that. Nothing was learned on the way. Things were planned. And parenting was also very well planned. For example, one of the samskaras, I think, was, and especially where they took great interest, was in naming the child. Naming the child was a big deal at that time because it was very clear to them, and it is written that the name of the child makes a great impact on the personality of the child. That if the name of the child, when I'm called with a certain name, it kind of creates a sense of confidence in me. If my name carries a certain meaning. So in the wisdom, in the Vedic era, people took a lot of pain and attention and to plan on what they are going to name their children. So that was one of the samskaras. They thought from there onwards. So they were very well planned on these things. Then they lived in joint families. Of course, there are a lot of cost and benefits to living in joint families. One does not debate on that. But one of the things that those parents at that time ensured was that the child learns the skill of the social skills of adapting to people around them. They learn to be flexible. And this was taught when they were living in joint families. When the child was around 8 or 10, when the thread ceremony happened, that is when the child was sent to a Gurukula. Every child was sent to the Gurukula at the age of around 8 or 10, where they lived with their guru and the guru's wife, who was called the Guru Mata, where they were taught the subjects like chemistry, physics of the syllabus. They were also taught psychological skills. They were also, depending upon which professional community they belonged to, they were accordingly taught those skills. And they lived in the Gurukul for about 12 years. That means till around the age of 20 or 22. And in this time, every 2 to 3 months, parents were expected to visit the child and live in the Gurukul for about 2 to 3 days. There were parent-teacher associations also, where the parent was supposed to meet up with the Guru and the Guru Mata, where the Guru and the Guru Mata will clearly tell the parents what is their observation of the child, how the child should, where should they take more interest, all the, whatever has happened in the child's life. Detailed meeting would happen with the Guru and the Guru Mata, one-on-one, where the parents live in the Gurukul for 3 to 4 days. So they saw parenting was not just by the parents. The first, developing years of the child was a parenting done in combination. The guru and the parents together parented the child. So the parents for the first few years gave a lot of emotional attention and created a great bond with the child, where the child saw that the parents were their source of security. And once the child was around 8, where the cognitive maturity started, they were sent off to the Gurukul, where the Guru took over. And one good thing about the Gurukul was also that because the Guru is not so emotionally attached to the child, the Guru was able to be more objective. He was able to see what are the potentials of this child, what are the innate attitude and tendencies that this child had, what are the aptitudes that this child had, which in our scriptures, it is called Swadharma. Each of us has a Swadharma. Swadharma means what is my dharma, meaning what comes automatically to me. Like if I'm a singer and it comes automatically to me, then singing is my Swadharma. If I want to be a soldier and fight for my country, that Kshatriya Dharma is my Swadharma. So they saw that the child, as it was growing up in the Gurukul, it displayed certain innate abilities and aptitudes and interest. So the Guru, along with the parents, took charge of developing this Swadharma, and so that the child could use that as his or her profession when he gets out of Gurukul, and through using their Swadharma, they are able to contribute to the economics of the country. So they took care of job satisfaction also. They were sure that the person is doing what they like to do. So right from the age of 8, they start observing what is the child's personality and temperament and what could be the economics. Then another thing that, so basically you see that as they grow up to the age of 20, a lot of planning goes where every step is well planned for. The parent and the guru comes together and takes care of the child. So this is a huge overview that I'm giving. In the next sessions, we will take up small concepts from our scriptures and how that gets translated into psychological health. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of that today. So if you have an aerial view, ancient parenting, the Vedic time, had three major roles. Parents played three major roles and goals. One was development of skills, that is physical skills, social skills, and psychological skills. And by psychological, they meant spiritual, because our spiritual texts go way beyond the psychology that we know today. So one first role was of developing skills. The second role was the foundation of beliefs. See, the kind of parenting that we get, on that depends the kind of beliefs that we make for ourselves. And today we know through psychology that our thoughts and our emotions are dominated and caused by the kind of beliefs that we hold. So parents played a very big role in the development of belief system in their children. So this was the second role that they played. The third role was good education, right? So we have to understand that in those days, it was very, very clear that parenting was just not about education. Somehow get them into good institutes and they get a 98%. That is not, 98% was not the goal of parenting at all. That was secondary. That was one of the subsidiary goals, the larger goal being the child should be a very good citizen of the country and should be able to contribute in every way possible. So they had a very large vision for the child. As a parent, their vision was very large. It was not skewed to immediate goals. So that means today as parents, we have to somewhere change our goals for our children. The goal of a child is not just to ensure that the child gets into a good academic institute and somehow manages to get a good pay package after all of that. That is a very important goal, but that is one goal, right? That's not the goal of parenting, which very often nowadays, when I look around and I see in my clinic also, that becomes the goal. I've seen parents get heart attacks over this one goal. So I think we need to slowly bring about a change there, right? Now, so how do we now look at it from the modern parenting perspective? So let's look at some of the modern parenting research that has been done, which allows us to see how parenting changes, what is the role of the parent in the child's mental health. Okay, now, whatever I'm telling you here, we will take up some of the details in the next coming sessions. And there we will again look at what our ancient scriptures have said about those small details. So I'll go a little bit back into the Western theories of parenting, and then I'll come back to how we can connect it to the ancient ways of parenting. So there are many ways in which parents impact their child's mental health. One very important thing that all parents have to remember, and this is extremely important, we have to take care of how we talk to our children. Because the way you talk to your child, that is how the child is going to talk to itself when he or she grows up. The way you treat your child's emotions, that is the way the child is going to treat his or her emotions when they grow up. So it's very, in what you say, that is going to be the parent that they have in their head when they grow up. The buddhi that we call is largely molded by the words and the thoughts and the reactions of parents. Their value system is based on how we react. So we are actually forming thought by thought, we influence them. And the 80 to 60 to 70% of thoughts that we see in adults, you just have to see an adult thinking and talking to know what has happened to his or her life when she was 10 or 11. Because 70% of what they are thinking is what their parents have told them in childhood. Parenting has enormous impact on a child, enormous. So I'm sometimes afraid that parents don't realize how important they are. You know, they're extremely important. I mean, as parents, we are nation builders. The future of the entire nation depends on parents. That is the kind of responsibility that is there on your shoulders. Because if parents don't do a good job, the nation will collapse, right? So I think if we understand that, we will know the enormity of our responsibility. I'm not trying to psych anyone, but this is a fact. Okay. So one of the ways in which we parent, one of the ways is there's something called parenting style. And if we know about parenting style, that allows us to change the way we parent our children. And understand one thing, when I say about all of this, I understand that some of you may be having children who are in their teens, and you may think, oh, we missed the boat. Don't worry, you haven't missed the boat. Nobody has actually missed the boat ever. Nobody misses it. Now, because it's never too late, and emotional well-being is a skill. It is not a fixed thing. It's a skill that can be learned. Just as you practice swimming, cycling, learning to play piano, tabla, like that, emotional skill can be practiced, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. We will see some of those skills next time. But it can be done at any age. It can be done even at 70. So don't worry, 70. So, so nobody has missed the boat. So don't worry. And at any age, we can change the way we parent. It will take a little time because the child is not used to your sudden change. So the child will resist. But then, it's not impossible. So don't worry, right? Okay. So now, what is a parenting style? A parenting style, very simply, is a style in which you parent. That means your personality and your beliefs, your attitude, your temperament, all of that come together and it builds a certain style that you have in which you parent. Now, this style is very important because one, it creates the emotional climate around in your house. It creates the emotional climate in your house, the emotional climate of your parenting is decided by the style. And it's also very important because it conveys to your child through your body language, through your tone, through how you react to them emotionally. All of this conveys to the child what you feel about them, what you think about them. And parenting styles will influence all of this. It will influence your body language, what you say, how you say. So it's very important. Now, as we talk about parenting style, what you have to remember that there are no rigid rules, and this gets significantly influenced by culture. As I said, in every country, the culture differs. In continents, culture differs. The kind of parenting style that works for Asia will not work in the West, and that will not work in Africa or some, or other countries. So we cannot overgeneralize it. You have to remember that you have to be very careful when you overgeneralize these things, because culture has a very big impact on parenting style. Not only culture, even socioeconomic strata that a person belongs to has a great impact. For example, as I enumerate, you will realize that an authoritarian parenting style, which is otherwise not healthy, seems to work very well for lower socioeconomic strata, right? Because over there, an authoritarian style seems to work. In a higher economic strata, it does not work. So there are a lot of cultural, socioeconomic, and other variables that come into the picture, but we can generalize to some extent, maybe not overgeneralize. So we'll look at each parenting style briefly, and then we'll go to how each parenting style impacts the child. Okay. So the first parenting style is what is called authoritative parenting style. This is considered to be the best parenting style that there is, because there is a combination of a strict parent and at the same time a very responsive and emotionally available parent. So this is a very beautiful combination of two that you see. What does that mean? Strict parent means this is a parent who will lay down reasonable rules, very reasonable rules, and some of them will be negotiable, and the parent will know which are the rules which are not negotiable. And they will not budge around the non-negotiable rules. They will not budge. The child clearly knows these are non-negotiable. Then how do they handle it? When we say they are also emotionally sensitive, what that means is, if they tell a child, I want you to, let us say, study now. Stop watching that match on TV and study. The child will cry. The child will resist. The child will get angry. they are emotionally sensitive enough to understand that the child does not want to study, wants to watch TV, and it is okay. It is okay to not like it, because you're a human being and you find TV more pleasurable. Like all of us, given a chance, want holiday, right? We also want to not go to work. When we are wired, so the same thing is for a child. Like just as we don't want to work, we will be very happy with 3 days working and with same salary. They are also very happy with 2 days school and rest of the day TV. So if we can feel those things, why can't they feel those things? So a authoritative parent is highly empathetic and understands that it's okay for the child to not like these things, but he still has to do it. So the language that he speaks to the child is that I know you don't like it. It's okay that you don't like it, because I also sometimes just want a break from, office or wherever, but you have to do it. Now, how does this help? We will see later. But this is the line that you see with an authoritative parent. They will lay down their boundaries very clearly, but they will be very sensitive. Am I audible? Am I clear? But they will be very sensitive to the emotion of the child. They will not tell the child, you're supposed to like school, you're supposed to enjoy homework, you're supposed to go to this class even though you don't like it, you're supposed to enjoy it. They don't dictate what the child is supposed to feel. They don't psychologically control their children. They behaviorally control the child. There's a very big difference between psychological control and behavioral control. Psychological control means I will tell you what to feel, what to believe, what to think. If I tell you have to like math, you have to like math. You can't tell me you don't like it. If I put you in this class, which is for your good, you have to like the class. The child will say, I hate the class. An authoritative parent will say, I know you don't like it. Perfectly okay to not like it, but you have to go. And can I do something to help you make it better so that you go? Then that child is actually emotionally available to you. And we'll see how that is later. So this is an authoritative parent. Another thing that the authoritative parent does is they respect the autonomy of a child. Now, I'm going to elaborate a lot on authoritative parent, and the other styles of parenting, I'll go quickly. Autonomy, in Asia, one mistake that a lot of parents make, I think the current generation of parents may not be doing it, but the earlier generations, we have seen that happen. We consider autonomy as disrespect, which is not true. All these parenting styles, we see them emerge in parents only when the child is around 2 years old. See, because still 2-year-old, the child is very dependent. Once the child starts walking, talking, and some cognitive development starts, that is when the child starts challenging the parent's authority. You say, sit here, the kid will say, no, I will not sit here. Even a 2-year-old can do that. When that authority starts, the challenging of authority starts, is when you see the parent style blooming. From there only it will start. And this parenting style is a combination between the child's temperament and the parent's temperament. Some children are not easy. They challenge the parent at every point, and that is when you see that parent's personality coming out, right? One thing that Asian parents problematically is that they see autonomy as disrespectful. It is not. Autonomy is not seeking autonomy is different from defiance. And one has to very clearly understand the difference. A child who is seeking autonomy is not necessarily rebelling. Autonomy is a very natural and normal need of a human. We all need autonomy. You will see it in small children, once they are around 2.5, 3 years old. Earlier, if they broke a toy, you take it from them and repair it and give it to them, they'll be okay with it. Once they are 3, they will ask you, they will want to try repairing it themselves. The 3-year-old will seek autonomy. These are small ways of seeking autonomy. And if you do it for them, then you're also somewhere not respecting the need for autonomy. This is a natural need in human beings. And once we become 20, 21, we want our own lives. Many of us start wanting our own homes, our own way of living life. This is natural because this is adulthood. If a teenager is seeking autonomy, it is good. That means a teenager is regularly developing. Because if the teenager does not seek autonomy, that teenager is going to become a very dysfunctionally attached human when he or she becomes an adult. So when teenagers clash with you, it is not always because they want to defy. It is just that they are experimenting with keeping you as their experimental guinea pigs because you are the safest targets to experiment with their need for autonomy. So they will say, I want to do this. Let them do it in a safe way. Ensure it is safe. For that, you have to be very creative, right? So we have to be so authoritative parents are very respectful and very mindful of the child's need for autonomy. So they don't psychologically keep on controlling the child. Now, how do you not respect autonomy? One, you tell the child what to think. Don't tell the child what to think beyond a certain point. If they are going grossly wrong, then of course you have to correct. If they are making certain decisions which are of unhealthy values, then of course you have to correct. But if they are saying simple things like, I think this actor is better than that actor, how does it make a difference? Let them think, choose your battles. These small things don't make a difference. I think Chinese food is better than Indian food. Most teenagers will say that. Okay, fine, you like it. I don't have to go on a rampage to prove Indian food is good because I'm worried that they will not eat Indian food. No. These are psychological controls that I tell you what to think. I tell you what to choose because I'm so scared you'll make the wrong choice when I'm no more in control. They are anyway going to make the wrong choice if they have to. There's only so much control you have. Right? And other way of not respecting autonomy is to not let them fail. Authoritative parents allow their children to fail. We have to understand that most often we don't let our children fail is because we don't have the courage to deal with their failure. So we make it very easy for them. In the next session, I will tell you about this more in detail. But if I allow my child small failures, with every failure, I'm giving him an opportunity to learn. He knows that he will fail. I'm teaching him that there are consequences. I'm not making it easy for them. Because, today, as we say, there is a lot of freedom in making a choice, but there is no freedom from the consequences of those choices. And the earlier the child knows this, the better for that child. And if you want your child to know this, you have to allow your child to fail. And of course, how do you allow your child to fail? And that we'll see next time. But you have to allow them. And this is what an authoritative parent will do. They will, small things. If the child breaks the toy, he doesn't know how to put it together, let him try for one full day and keep failing. No problem. You control your patience. Small things, wherever it is safe, wherever the consequences are not too big, start with small things so that they learn that if they don't do it right, they will fail. So this is an authoritative parent who is who has many reasonable rules which are not negotiable, and also emotionally sensitive and very respectful of the child's need for autonomy. On the other end of the spectrum, you have authoritarian parent who is exactly the opposite of all of this, who will put very rigid rules which are not at all flexible. Every rule will be non-negotiable. There have to be some which are negotiable. And he will hold it very, very rigidly. There is no respect for the child's need for autonomy. There is a lot of psychological control that goes, and they do not allow the child to emotionally express themselves. Okay? So this is exactly the opposite end of the spectrum, which is authoritarian, which is a second style of parenting. The third style of parenting is what we call as permissive parenting. Permissive parenting is where there are no limits at all, there are no demands at all, there are no rules at all, and the child's autonomy there is too much of autonomy given, there is no structure. So this is also a very dangerous form of parenting, because such parenting children generally tend to be completely indisciplined and they have no goals. These are children who are never able to make goals for themselves and they're very indisciplined. One has to be very careful of being a permissive parent, because nowadays, this whole concept of I should respect my child and treat my child like a friend, you are allowed to treat your child like a friend only when the child becomes around 16, or in the Vedic days, when the child came back from the Gurukul, that is when the parents started treating the child as a friend. Instead, there is a whole thing. Let me check if I've written it somewhere. There is a whole age thing that is there, that from 5 to 10, you give them love. From 10 to 18, you discipline them. It's only after 20 that the parents are told that now you are supposed to treat your child like a friend. But that happens only after 20, not before that. So sometimes in this whole zeal to treat your child like a friend, you may end up using the permissive parenting style, where for everything you ask your child what to do. We have to be very clear. Teenagers today can sound very intelligent because of so much of information available, but their brains are not cognitively developed to process such complex information. So don't think that just because a 15-year-old is sounding very intelligent, they actually know what they are saying, because they don't have the experience. You finally, how much ever you learn in theory, you need experience. The wisdom that comes with experience is not there, right? So we have to be very careful, because most of us will not be authoritarian parents, but many of us may be permissive parents thinking we are doing a good job. You have to be very careful of this. There is, of course, an indifferent parent. Indifferent parent is somebody who is not interested in parenting, who is neglecting the child, who is, who is also clearly not dedicated to the child, is not ready to make any sacrifice for the child. As parents, we all know, I think parenting is another word for sacrifice. How much of personal and social sacrifices we make. An indifferent parent is not ready to make these sacrifices. And mostly these are the parents, their children end up doing a lot of antisocial activities, illegal activities, and you see that they have a lot of emotional problems in them. Now, these are the 4 types of parenting. I'll quickly tell you what is the effect this has. See, when you have one of the most important psychological skill that is required to be mentally healthy, instead 2. One is good emotional regulation, the management of emotions, and 2, being psychologically flexible. If these 2 things are not there, then however intelligent you are, whatever education you have, whatever status you have, none of it will matter. You will still end up needing mental health help. These 2 are the foundations of a mentally healthy person. I mean, of course, there are many other things, but these 2, according to me, from my practice, I have seen are of great importance. Psychological flexibility means, as they say, in a storm, it is a grass that bends which survives. A tree that refuses to bend breaks. Right? Now, the tree cannot help it. The tree is rigid. It did not ask to be like that. But, in human beings, there are some of us who are born with a rigid temperament. It's not our fault. We are born like that. And some of us become rigid because we were never told to be flexible. We thought, parents gave us everything we want, so the life and world is also going to give us everything we want. And we are in for a rude shock when we get out of our houses. Now, if your child is born with a temperament of rigidity, then you have to take great care in helping the child become flexible. You may not succeed 100% because built-in temperaments cannot be changed. 180-degree changes cannot come. But even if you succeed 70%, it's a huge success. If your child is already flexible, you're very lucky. Don't make the child rigid by giving him whatever he wants. Don't make the child rigid by not letting him face the consequences of life. Rigidity also means that I'm not ready to accept option B. Option Bs are non-acceptable. It only has to be option A. And even the thought of option B creates anxiety. Right? So an authoritative parent is generally promotes over here it is psychosexual development in terms of structure and also psychological development in terms of flexibility. And I will come to the details of it the next time. You will see that an authoritative parent is able to do both. And this flexibility comes why? Because the authoritative parent will say, this rule is not negotiable. You have to do it. I'm not going to, there is no option B available here, but I will help you in doing it. I know you don't like it. I'm okay with you not liking it. And when they say I'm okay with you not liking it, they're also teaching and modeling emotional regulation. Emotional regulation means what? You have the regulator of a fan. Imagine the regulator is working only at 0 or 5. What is the use? So either the child is very cool or very angry, no point. I should be able to soothe myself and bring myself up depending on the need of the hour. If tomorrow my boss is a very difficult man and he insults me, at that time, standing in that room, I should be able to calm myself down. A lot of my career will depend upon me keeping my trap shut in the conferences room. And that depends on emotional regulation, which comes with parenting style. So if my parent tells me, yes, I know you don't like it, but you have to do it. So come on, let's figure out a way of how you can do something you don't like. That is, you're teaching the child how to bring down their frustration, how to manage their frustration. You're telling the child it is okay to do something you don't like to do. It's okay to do something you don't want to do. And it's okay to hate it. So you're telling the child you have to respect your emotions, you can honor your emotions, and at the same time do what needs to get done. So when you parent like that, one, you are modeling emotional regulation, you're modeling good emotional management, you're modeling frustration tolerance because you're tolerating the child's dislike. When the child tells you, I hate doing this, you're tolerating it. You're saying it's okay. I'm okay with you hating it, but you have to do it. And you're being very respectful. So tomorrow when the child's boss tells the child, you have to be a part of this project, and he hates it, he will say, yeah, I hate it, but I'll figure out a way to do it. This is what happens when the child becomes 45 because of what you did when he was 5. This is the impact that your parenting style will have on the child, because the mind of that child depends on what all that you have fed as a parent. Right? So that is how emotional regulation, psychological flexibility, autonomy, having faith in their own mind. Like, suppose a child says, I want to do this project. I think I'll be able to do it. If the mother says, okay, chalo, let's do it now, let's see. Sometimes, then after some time, the child will realize, slowly start having faith in his or her own mind. That, if my mind says I can do it, maybe I can do it. But if the authoritarian parent, remember, keeps on questioning the child. Oh, I don't think this is your capacity. You choose that other one. That is better for you. This you may not be able to do. When the child grows up, he will not have faith in his own mind. He will constantly need somebody else to tell him, can I do this? Can I not do that? This will be an adult who is submissive, who is emotionally dependent, who needs someone to tell him he can do it, who constantly cross-check, who constantly doubt himself all the time. Therefore, parenting and parenting styles are very, very important. If now what that brings us to, now when I say all of this, probably some of you may be realizing that means I have to be very, very mindful. I cannot do anything spontaneously. She has just made parenting extremely complicated. And this is not what I bargained for. Yeah, no, it does not have to be complicated, but yes, one cannot do justice to parenting unless one changes. So before we try to change the child, we need to change ourselves. So if those of you who thought you're coming here so that I will teach you techniques to change the child, you're going to be sadly mistaken. That's not going to happen. I'm going to be teaching you techniques to change yourself, and then the child will automatically change. Trust me, the child will automatically change. But I know change is very difficult because everybody wants a change, but nobody wants to change. So, and this is a universal phenomenon. So I guess that doesn't work. Because if we want to uproot a tree, we can't be plucking the leaves. We have to work at the root. So we need to, so for the next 3 sessions is going to, though I'm going to talk about mental well-being and about children, but all of that will apply to you, because unless you practice that, there's no way you're succeeding in making your children practice. Because, you know, when it comes to children, they say, right, what you are is so loud, I can barely hear what you say. Understand, visual input is more stronger than auditory input. If what you say is not followed by action, your children are never going to take you seriously. Because in my clinic, I have children, I don't see children. When I used to see children, they used to come and tell me, oh, my mother will just say dog, she'll forget in 3 days. Don't worry. I've actually had children tell me. So I think I will end it with that. And don't worry, we are all still in a very safe boat. And I'm sure because we are parents who are not indifferent and we care so much about our children, we will do what needs to get done. Thank you so much, Nilima, Chirag. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sunita. If anyone has questions, you can put it up on the chat. So Dr. Sunita will answer them. There's already one question.
Okay, let me just check. What if they store frustration and anger on failing? How to get them to accept the failure? We are going to be talking about failure and success and how to accept failure and success the next time in great detail. How to give feedback, how to teach the children to manage failure. So it will automatically be answered the next time when you come. Yes, no matter how much we explain them, we are going to win some and lose some. It's tough. That's common. What if there's only one parent in a child's life? That's enough. We can still do justice. It's difficult. It's very difficult. But one parent can do a lot of justice. It's hard work. It's emotionally very difficult. For single parenting is not at all easy emotionally. It's a lonely endeavor. But I think it still can be done with a lot of social support, because single parents need a lot of social support. So the single parent should ensure that they have friends and extended families around them who can help in co-parenting, and that works, because single parent is an emotionally difficult thing. Okay, could you please share any specific resources to learn about samskaras? Yes, sure. If you attend some of, if there are a lot of scriptural texts where they talk about samskaras. I also heard that there is a village near Kolhapur where there is, I'll get the details the next time. There is a man who has taken it upon himself and set up an entire display. The whole village is a display of all the 16 samskaras, and he will take you through each one of them. There is a village close to Kolhapur where they do that. And I will find out the details about that and I will pass it on to Nilima, and she can put it in the group. So there is a lot to, there are a lot of material available to learn about samskara. Aldivya, we'll come to you later. Can we add Hindi also in the discussion? Maybe we can, but I'm not that comfortable speaking fluently in Hindi. It's my mistake. I'm sorry. But maybe we can get somebody else who is more fluent in Hindi, because there are so many technical words that have to be used. And unfortunately, my bad that I cannot talk so fluently in English, in Hindi. My apologies. I'm sure the CSK Chinmaya Setukari group will find somebody who can speak in Hindi and who can do justice to the talk. But I'm unable to do so. I'm sorry. What if parenting styles are different for father and mother? Generally not. It's the same. But what we have to, the question was, what if parenting styles are different for father and mother? Yes. So if there is a difference, then you have to choose the healthier one. So now you clearly know the healthier one is authoritative. So if the father is authoritarian or authoritative, then they will have to accordingly change their parenting styles. So if suppose, let us say one of them has problems with anger, one parent has anger management issues, and because of their anger management issues, they are not able to parent in an authoritative style, then the parent has among themselves, they have to be very clear that when the child is throwing a tantrum and when I'm angry, I will tell you I'm angry, you take over. Because now I'm going to do authoritarian things, which is unhealthy. So you take over. That kind of understanding has to be there between the parents. That because of my personality problem, if I am not able to be authoritative, then during sensitive times, the parent who is more authoritative will take over. So yes, if there are differences, then that is what we do. How to change a child's behavior, example, sleeping in excess, laziness, and procrastination. So in sleeping, generally, when you look at sleep studies, unless the child is sleeping during school hours or during studies and things like that, it is generally okay to let them sleep when they are sleeping, because as children are developing, they sleep a lot. And sleep is very important for the development of the human body. So generally don't mess around with their sleeping, and especially newborn children till around the 3 or 4 years of age, their sleeping patterns are very good because it is exactly the way it is supposed to be. Instead, we tell parents, parents of newborns or young children, if you want to set your sleeping pattern correct, wake up and sleep with the child. Because they exactly wake up and sleep like clockwork. It's only we are the ones who go and spoil their rhythm because we don't sleep on time. So let kids sleep. Even teenagers tend to sleep a lot. The reason why they sometimes sleep a lot is because a growing body needs to sleep. So don't mess around with sleeping. We as adults need 6 to 8 hours of sleep, but they need more than that. So let it be. Procrastination, laziness, we'll come to that later. We'll come to that next time. Is it okay to walk away from a situation and take some time to regulate one's own emotion? That will come next time in next talk. I'm looking forward to your sessions. Okay, that's fine. So some of the questions that have been asked over here are going to be taken up the next time. That is why I am not getting into the details of it, because these questions require 1 hour long answers. So we cannot be getting into that right now. But we will be taking up emotional regulation in great detail in the next two, in the first and the second, the third talk. We will be taking it up in great detail. That's it. The questions in the chat are over.
Thank you so much, Sunita.
Most welcome.
On behalf of Chinmaya Mission Mumbai, I'd like to thank everyone who was part of this session. Thank you, Sunita, for this enlightening, mind-boggling topic for all parents. We have a few announcements. We are having Dr. Sunita's. For those of you who don't know, we are having Dr. Sunita's sessions every alternate month. There are 4 talks. Today was the first one. So the next talk will be in October. Those of you who have not registered for those, please do so. The links are there in the WhatsApp group. We will post it there. Some other announcements are that we have a unique camp coming up called the Value Gym by Swami Swatmananji and Swami Anukulananji at Chinmaya Vibhuti, which is a picturesque setting between Pune and Lonavala. This is on the long Independence Day weekend that we have. So the camp is based on a beautiful text called the Vibhishan Gita. Another name for this for Vibhishan Gita is also called the Chariot. It is also called the Chariot of Success. It is a gem from the Tulsi Ramayana. It's an amazing text for everyone. The age group is 13 to 55. So please do register for the camp. We will share it on the WhatsApp groups also. And yeah, you have it here also in the screen sharing. So we will share it on the. So do join this camp. Yeah, we will close with the closing prayers now. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.